I picked UOB just because I knew I wanted a campus uni more than anything. And then when I came around here on the open day, it's just amazing, the Green Heart. I liked how much greenery and everything there was on campus. And obviously, Old Joe is a massive draw as well. And then, but it's also great because the facilities sport-wise are really good and you're so close to the city centre. Like, you're only 10 minutes on a train away from being in the centre of Birmingham. But then when you're on campus, you don't feel like you're not in a city, but you're close enough that you can be very quickly if you want to be.
I mean, I chose Birmingham mainly based on kind of trying to find a university that matched academics with sport. One of the major important parts for me was to ensure that with the course that I was still getting a high performance sport level out of that. And so with Birmingham, I was able to kind of speak to our high performance coaches at the time and say what my goals were. And then it meant that from that, I could almost piece together the 3 or 4 years I was going to be at Birmingham, where I wanted to go with sport and then where I wanted to go with academics.
I found just from going to the open day that the whole campus just had a really nice atmosphere. I also knew that I wanted to carry on playing hockey and cricket when I went there. Hockey has a really good reputation there. And also finding out that cricket you get to train at Edgbaston was a real bonus and swayed my decision.
My favourite thing about the University of Birmingham, especially within larger sports, is the kind of community aspect you get. Especially with Birmingham, there's not too much separation between ability levels in sports. It seems that a lot of the sports clubs train together no matter what your ability is. If you're high performance, if you've never tried the sport before, still a lot of kind of social contact between the squads. And that's something that I really enjoyed coming from a team sport.
Just following on from that, I really liked just the sheer variety. There's 55, I think, different sports clubs. So for a lot of people, if you're already like playing county level hockey or football or cricket or whatever, then clearly there's a place for you. But there's for a lot of people that are just sporty but never really played any higher than school sport. There's a whole range of different sports, loads of which you've probably never even heard of, that you can pick up when you're here and advance quite quickly. And then the positives aspects of being part of a team, part of a sports club, help both with your academia and obviously have really positive effects for your mental health as well. So I really enjoy the team side of being part of a sports club.
Yeah, I think as well as it being very social within each club, I think it can also be quite social between other clubs. For example, like any sports nights, you can have joint socials, and sports ball at the end of the year is always a highlight, and it just solidifies that sort of community feeling between all of sport.
I think that's been especially prevalent kind of at the minute while everyone's in lockdown, the amount of challenges you're seeing between clubs. Like there's been challenges where it's kind of like 10 or 11 clubs have all come together to be able to do one sort of challenge. So I think that's pretty obvious that there is a lot of interaction and you don't just have to kind of stick within your sport.
So I do chemistry, which could be a little bit full on sometimes, but I think it's just important if you join a sport, you know when your training is going to be, you know when your matches are going to be, and as long as you plan your work around that, then I think it's really easy to just get along with your studies alongside enjoying and being just as committed to the sport.
So I do politics, political science and international relations. So I don't have as many contact hours as I imagine Meg does. But so it means I do a bit more time to focus on things. But one of the things I really like is that the sports are mainly very student run. So each of the sports clubs has a committee, and we have support from club development at UOB Sport and Fitness. But that sport's always there if you need it. But it being really student run means that because my course isn't as intense as others, I've been able to be on committee the last 2 years. But for those that do have more intense courses, you can you don't necessarily have to go down the committee route. You can just be a team player and just play the sport rather than help organise it as well. So there's different levels of commitment that you can get involved with depending on how you want to manage your time.
I do engineering and rowing, so both my course and sport are pretty high in contact hours. But I think, as kind of Xander said, with having student-led clubs and the support coaches, you are able to find balance. So I know that this year we made sure that there was never a point where your course would be interfered with by sport. All training was done around it. So for us, it meant a lot of morning sessions, but there was still a time to be able to kind of do work, have time off that wasn't either sport or course, so you could still socialise, because not all of your socialising is going to be within your sport. I think that's pretty easy to see. And so you do also need time to kind of meet other people outside of just your sport and your course.
So you can definitely join a club if you've never played before. Personally, I've seen loads of people come into the cricket club who've never even touched a cricket ball. Some people don't even know the rules of cricket. Our president this year had never played cricket before coming to the uni. So it's definitely an opportunity for beginners to pick up something, as well as some of the other maybe more popular sports like hockey. If you've never played before, then there's always the campus leagues or more social leagues that you can join, and it's just very chilled and open to everyone.
I play a sport called korfball, and it is a sport I'd never played before coming even to uni, and I'd never even heard of before coming to uni. But it's at the start of each year there's a big sports fair where all the clubs are available, and they tell you, and you can go and talk to the people on committee there and find out more about the club and whether you think it was for you. And then loads of clubs have taster sessions, which are one-off sessions or two-off sessions, and just give you a little taster of what the sport is before you commit and see if you want to keep going back to them. So in my first year, I tried a whole load of different, I think I went to about 5 or 6 different taste sessions for different sports, just because I've always been sporty, but I was never in the first team for anything at school, so I was never like elite performance, if you want to say something like that. But so I tried out all these taste sessions and found the sport that I thought was right for me, and yeah, loved it ever since, and now co-president of it. So yeah, you can really pick up anything. We have people who play korfball who never played before coming to uni and now are representing national teams, so you really can pick up anything.
Yeah, with rowing, we have each year about 50 members that join as complete beginners, never rowed before. And throughout that first year that they're in there, they're part of a development program, which means when they start a second year of rowing, they are at standards to go into our senior squads. So it kind of means that no matter how inexperienced you are, we think that within a year, it's more than achievable to get you to a standard where you can competitively race, and all beginners have kind of races in the summer seasons anyway. So
yes, I'd definitely say you can join more than one sports club. I did hockey and cricket in my first and second year. Obviously it was a bit easier for me because I had one winter sport and one summer sport, so I didn't really have any matches clashing. But as both teams were very understanding, they understand that you have commitments to the other sport, and so I think as long as you plan your time well and are enjoying it, it can be intense sometimes, but it's very easily done.
Yeah, I completely agree. So I did 2 sports where I chose sports that were very similar activity types. So with rowing, I ended it with cycling just because it kind of uses the same muscle groups, and it just meant that there was more variety, especially in the winter when you're kind of up at 6 a.m. in freezing cold. It's quite nice to get a different kind of activity in there rather than just doing the same thing repeatedly. If you can train the same sort of muscles and stuff, then you may as well try and do as much cross training as possible.
You also have a load of campus league different things. So for the last couple of years, korfball, which is the sport I do, have entered a team into the campus league netball. So that's good fun as well. And we play other sports club, different courses, and just groups of mates that want to get different teams together. And so I think you can do that for netball, you can do that for football, and there's a load of other sports you can do that as well, which I can't remember off the top of my head. Yeah, you can still get involved in sport if you don't join a club. There's loads of different schemes. So at the start of the year, especially when you're in first year, there's a different halls competition where you can play sports with other people in your halls, so you get to know the people that are living around you. There's also try sport, where you can pick up a sport from being a complete beginner, and it's like a 10-week course and they'll get you to a fairly high standard. There's a load of different sports you can do that with, such as archery and badminton. There's different like one-day tournaments. If you can't commit to doing a campus league every week, towards the end of terms, there'll be one-day tournaments where you'll just play the sport in a mini tournament on that day. And then also there's great gym facilities as well. So if you don't want to necessarily join a sport, you can still get a gym membership or use the 50-metre swimming pool, which is the only one in Birmingham.
So because I wasn't part of a high performance club or anything like that, a lot of people from my club would buy gym memberships alongside the club membership. Personally, I did one which would include gym classes as well, which meant we got to use all of the studios. We got 3 classes free a week. So that was really great, and it just helped maintain fitness alongside the weekly training. So
as well as my corporal co-presidency, I also volunteer with UB Sport. I'm their media volunteer this year, which means I compile loads of match reports and write them or edit them and put them out on the website, just to keep people updated with all the successes that Birmingham are achieving. And then alongside that, as sort of a little thank you for doing that, I get a gym membership included with that. But I do know that there's a whole variety of different options you can have. So you can go for peak or off peak. And then there's also a gym on Tiverton Road, which you can buy a membership for as well, that's in Selly Oak, which is only about a 10-minute walk from campus. But a lot of the second and third year students live in that area. So I have a friend that literally lives opposite the gym. So for him, that's ideal. He rolls out of bed, he walks a minute to the gym, goes there for an hour and comes straight home. And it's even easier for him than coming all the way to campus, even though he doesn't live that far from uni anyway. So there's loads of different options and different ways of making sure that things can fit within your price range.
With rowing, we kind of recommend to our members that there is no need to buy a separate gym membership. We have a few members that are in the kind of high performance squad going for GB that do buy a membership on top of their rowing membership, just to mean that they have the extra strength and conditioning sessions in the gym. But for the most part, it's kind of not needed, especially seeing as within your sport membership, you get some club circuits included, you get some yoga sessions included, and a free triage session as well.
So from an on-campus point of view, there are loads of facilities. You don't even have to travel anywhere. So there's 3G pitch, there's 2 hockey pitches, which are actually being used during the Commonwealth Games. So to a really high standard there. And then also got Sport and Fitness, which is the big, shiny, new sports centre. It was £55 million and it is incredible. There is literally everything you could think about is in there. So there's loads of different halls, which multi-purpose, basketball nets come down from the ceiling, netball, most clubs train in there. And then there's loads of different studios as well, where you can do classes and sign up for things like that. Then there's 6 squash courts, which are really high quality. And there's also an interactive squash court in there, which is one of only 2, I think, in the country, which is either did go on there, and that's really good fun. And then also there's the swimming pool as well. As mentioned earlier, 50-metre swimming pool, which is the only one in Birmingham. So yeah, even just from an on-campus point of view, there's loads of different facilities, and we've got good links to other places, which I'm sure the other 2 will tell you about.
Yeah, so kind of going off campus, just internally within their own club, we have 2 separate boat houses in the surrounding area, one in Birmingham and then one in Worcester. I know that also the sailing club have their own separate boathouse as well in Birmingham. So there's a lot of kind of variety to get out away from campus as well. If you kind of feel like you're spending too much of your time within the university setting, you are able to venture into kind of Birmingham City and the kind of surrounding area as well.
Yeah, so I've been lucky that I've been able to use a mixture of the on-campus and off-campus facilities. I think it's amazing that we get to train at Edgbaston Cricket Club. It's world-class facilities used by professionals. A couple of times we've seen some famous cricketers there, which just shows how good the facilities are. And then, as Xander said, the hockey pitches, which were built for the Commonwealth Games. I've been lucky that everything's pretty much been brand new whilst I've been there, so I've got to experience it all as one of the first people, but it's all really high standard, and I just felt lucky to be able to use it whilst at Birmingham. So there are loads of fitness classes on offer, things like body pump, body attack, body combat, some of the more classic ones like Zumba and cycling classes, all done with Les Mills. They can come free with a membership depending on what you do, or you can buy each one separately. If you don't want to do them in the gym, some sports clubs also might put along some smaller classes to do separately, just as an inter-club thing. But I'd say they're really worth the money if you want to do a fitness class actually in the gym.
So there's lots of opportunities to get involved in volunteering. You can do it initially as joining a sports club and going onto their committee. That means you take a more proactive role in running that club. But then there's also opportunities outside of sports clubs, such as the extra mile. So with that, you can kind of log your hours, and from that you get rewards as well. So you're able to get kind of clothing, bags, that sort of thing, as well as also being able to help out at local events. So the Birmingham Half Marathon, any races that sports clubs might put on, you're able to help out with them and get sort of like free lunches, that sort of thing. So there's definitely a lot of volunteering opportunities.
So there's on top of your more conventional volunteering roles, there's lots of other roles you can be in, like reporting on the sports that's going on. So I'm one of the media volunteers here this year at UOB Sport and Fitness, which means I compile all the match reports and edit them and stick them out on the website, so everyone can keep up to date with them. There's other things like brand ambassadors who help when we have events such as Premier League squash on campus and things like that. So there's lots of other ways that you can help and stay involved in sport, which not only benefit the uni, but also can benefit you on your CV later down the line.
Alongside events throughout the university calendar, such as the Inclusive Fitness Festival, a number of sports clubs have para opportunities as well. So rowing, cycling, swimming, just to name a few. But they mean that anyone with disabilities is also able to take part in sport, as this is kind of one of the major factors in University of Birmingham, is providing opportunity to everyone and trying to make it more inclusive to